Let's go ahead and review for quiz 8.1. It deals with operations with radicals and factoring, along with Pythagorean theorem and its converse. Number 1, square root of 27 times the square root of 12. I'm going to simplify. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this as the square root of 27 times 12. Now, I'm going to break apart the 27 where one of the numbers is a perfect square. So 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. What about this 12 over here? Well, I need two numbers that multiply together. It'll give me 12, where one of them is a perfect square. So 4 times 3. Okay, so the square root of 9 is 3. It's going to go outside of the radical. Notice that I have 3 times 3, which is the square root of 9. Square root of 9 is also 3, so that's going to go outside. I don't need this anymore. I don't need these two numbers anymore. I'm left with the square root of 4, which is just 2. So 3 times 3 times 2. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. So 18 is the answer for number 1. Number 2, I have 5 root 18 times negative 3 root 14. I'm going to multiply the coefficient to coefficient, and I'm going to multiply the radicand to the radicand. So I have 5 times negative 3 times root 18 times root 14. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And then I have the root 18 times root 14, which I'm just going to rewrite as root 18 times 14. This is where I'm going to simplify the radical. So I have negative 15 root. Let's break apart the 18. Two numbers that multiply together will give me 18, where one of them is a perfect square is 9, and then 9 times 2, because 9 times 2 is 18. And then I'm going to break the 14 apart. I'm thinking 7 times 2. Okay, so now look, I have the square root of 9, which is 3. So 3 is going to get multiplied with the negative 15. That 3 is going to go outside of that square root. So I don't need this 9 anymore. Look at this. I have the square root of 2 times 2, which is the square root of 4. That's just 2. So 2 is going to go outside of the radical sign. And it's going to get multiplied with the negative 15 and the 3. So what's left over? It's that 7. So I have negative 15 times 3 times 2, root 7, which I'm going to multiply. And negative 15 times 3 is negative 45. Negative 45 times 2 is negative 90. So negative 90 root 7 is your answer. Let's take a look at number 3. Root 3 divided by root 2. Notice that we have a square root in the denominator. We cannot have that. So we need to rationalize the denominator. And to do so, we need to multiply the top and bottom by whatever appears in the denominator, which is the square root of 2. So I multiply the bottom by the square root of 2, and I'm going to multiply the top by the square root of 2. Notice that we have two fractions. No, we're not going to cross multiply. We're going to multiply across just like so. Square root of 2 times square root of 2. That's the square root of 4, which is just 2. And then I have the square root of 3 times the square root of 2. Just going to leave it as the square root of 2, or square root of 3 times 2 for the time being. Okay. Well, square root of 3 times the square root of 2 is just 6, or the square root of 6. And then I'm going to divide that by 2. Well, can I simplify square root of 6? Well, if I simplify square root of 6, that's going to be 3 and 2. I can't break apart the 3. I can't break apart the 2. So really, your answer is the square root of 6 divided by 2. That's your answer. Number 4, I got the square root of 28 divided by the square root of 7. I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 7, and then multiply across. Square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is just 7, and then the square root of 28 times the square root of 7 is just the square root of 28 times 7. I'm just rewriting it. Okay, so I'm going to break apart the 28 here. So I have the square root of 7 times 4, and then the 7 is just prime, so I'm going to leave that alone. So I have the square root of 7 times 4 times 7, all over 7. The square root of 4 is just 2. So that's equals 2. And that's going to go outside of the radical sign. And then I don't need this 4 anymore, but notice that we have the square root of 7 times 7, which is the square root of 49. The square root of 49 is just 7. All over 7. So that means that this square root sign goes away, and then we've already figured out, you know, our numbers that go outside of that, you know, square root. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 divided by 7 is just simply 2. Here we go. Let's take a look at number 5. So I have 5 root 5, the quantity squared. So that's just basically rewriting this twice. But the shortcut here is that you're going to distribute the 2 to the 5, and you're going to distribute the 2 to the square root of 5. So you have 5 quantity squared times root 5 the quantity squared. 5 squared is 25 times root 5 the quantity squared is just 5, because root 5 times root 5 is root 25, and root 25 is just 5. 25 times 5 is 125. That's the answer for number 5. Okay, so number 6. You have negative 2 root 7 the quantity squared. Distribute the 2 to the negative 2, and then distribute the 2 to root 7. You should have negative 2 the quantity squared times root 7 the quantity squared. Negative 2 the quantity squared is just 4, and then root 7 the quantity squared is just 7. So 4 times 7 is 28. That's your answer for number 6. 7. X squared plus 6x plus 8. This is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. This is a trinomial because we're dealing with 1, 2, 3 terms here. So what I like to do is I'm going to draw my x, identify what a, b, and c are. A is 1, b is 6, and then c is 8. 8's going to go up top, b is going to go in the bottom. You need 2 numbers that multiply together, it'll give you 8, and using those same numbers, they should add up to 6. So let me go ahead and show you a calculator trick. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press y equals, and then for y1, you're going to put your c value, which is just 8. So you're going to do 8 divided by, then x, and then you're going to go to y2 by pressing the down arrow key, and you're going to do 8 divided by x plus x. Second graph, you should get a table. Look for your b value, which is 6. So you're going to make sure that your arrows are on the x column, so you're able to scroll up and down, especially for a physical graphing calculator. And you're going to pay attention to the y2 column and look for your b value, which is 6. There it is. It's right there. So I can see that my 2 factors are 2 and 4. So I'm going to put 2 and 4 here. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 plus 4 is 6. So what does that mean? Your answer is x plus 2 times x plus 4. Eight. 4x squared minus 25y squared. Notice that we have 2 terms here. Well, actually, this is a difference of 2 squares, because if we look at the 4, that's a perfect square. If we look at the x squared, that's a perfect square. 25 is a perfect square, and y squared is a perfect square. Everything is separated by the minus sign here. So draw your parentheses. You're going to say, what times what is 4? 2 times 2 is 4. What times what is x squared? X times x is x squared. What times what is that negative sign? Plus, minus will give you that negative sign. What times what is 25? 5 times 5 is 25. What times what is y squared? Y times y is y squared. And this is your answer. Number 9, I have a right triangle where the hypotenuse is just x. So you're going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is the hypotenuse because This is the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90-degree angle. So it doesn't matter which one's A and which one's B as long as you know what C is. So I have 12 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. 12 squared is 144 plus 64 equals x squared. So 144 plus 64 is 208, which is equal to x squared. So I'm going to take the square root on both sides. So x is equal to, and I'm going to assume that you're going to simplify your radical. So what two numbers multiply together, they'll give you 208. So let me see. So 208 divided by 16, good. So I'm going to break apart this square root of 208 into the square root of 16 times 13. And notice that the square root of 16 is 4. So 4 is going to go outside. And then that 13, you can't break apart whatsoever. So it's going to remain inside of the square root. So 4 root 13 is equal to x. That's your answer. Number 10. Okay, so again, we're going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Notice your hypotenuse is 25. So a squared will be x squared plus b squared will be x plus 5, the quantity squared, equals c squared, that's 25 squared. So x squared is just x squared, and then x plus 5, the quantity squared, is plus x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 625. Now the trick here is if you don't know what x plus 5, the quantity squared, without having to rewrite it, is just, you know for sure you're going to have an x squared when you FOIL, and then I'm going to do 5 plus 5, which is just 10, slap on the x. Then you're going to do 5 times 5, which is positive 25. That's how you rewrite it. Okay, so then how many x squares do we have? We have 2 x squares plus 10x plus 25 equals 625. It looks like this is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. But I am solving for the x. You need to make sure that one side is 0. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 625. So you get 2x squared plus 10x minus 600 equals 0. So then, I'm going to look at 2, 10, and negative 600. What goes into 2, 10, and negative 600 at the same time? Well, 2. So I'm going to factor the 2 out. You should get x squared plus 5x minus 300 equals 0. So I'm solving for x. I'm going to focus on this only. I'm going to draw my little x. I'm going to put negative 300 up top and then 5 in the bottom. The trick here is you're going to use your calculator and we're going to do what I taught you before. So you know that your c value is negative 300. So you're going to divide that by x, and then you're going to write negative 300 divided by x plus x. So press second graph and then find your b value on y2. So we have 20 and negative 15. So 20 and negative 15. So 20 times negative 15 is negative 300, and 20 plus negative 15 is just 5. Okay, so we have x plus 20 times x minus 15 equals 0. So you have x equals negative 20 and then x equals 15. What is the best answer? Well, 15, because that's positive and you don't want to have a negative side whatsoever. So if I plug in 15 there, that should be positive. You're dealing with a triangle, So it makes sense that your positive answer should be, the right answer, especially when you're dealing with, shapes. Number 11. So you're going to determine whether the set of numbers form a triangle. If so, what type of triangle is that? Is it acute, obtuse, or right? So what I like to do is I'm going to write those three numbers just like so. I have 39. What are the numbers not 39? 15 plus 36. Is 15 plus 36 greater than 39? Yes. Now let's take a look at 36. I'm going to choose 15 plus 39 because those are the numbers not 36. You can obviously see that 39 is greater than 36, so you can go ahead and put a check mark for that. Okay, so now, lastly, we have 36 plus 39, which is obviously greater than 15. So since all of these do check out, it does form a triangle. It does form a triangle. Okay, so now what type of triangle is that? You're going to write c squared blank a squared plus b squared. So c should be the longest side always. So 39 squared blank 15 squared plus 36 squared. Well, 39 squared is, I have no idea what 39 squared is. So I'm going to use my calculator. This is going to help me. So you have 39 squared, that's 1521. And then you have 15 squared plus 36 squared, that's 1521 on the left or on the right hand side. So compare your c squared to your a squared plus b squared. Is the left hand side greater, equal, or less than the right hand side? Well, you can see that we have 1521 equals 1521. This is a right triangle. So we have a right triangle. Number 12, let's do the same thing. We have 26, 18, and 16. 16 plus 18, is that greater than 26? That should be 32. So yes, that's greater than 26. I have 18 now. What are the two numbers not 18? 16 plus 26. That is definitely greater than 18. And then we have 18 plus 26. That's definitely greater than 16. So we do have a triangle. What type of triangle is that? Well, we have 26 squared blank 16 squared plus 18 squared. Using my calculator again, well, 26 squared is 676. And then 16 squared plus 18 squared, that's 580. Notice that I'm going to compare the left-hand side to the right-hand side. The left-hand side is obviously greater than the right-hand side. So what does that mean? It's an obtuse triangle. Our last problem for today, 9, 7, 2. What are the two numbers not 9? 2 plus 7. Is 2 plus 7 greater than, less than, or equal to 9? Well, that's going to be equal to 9. Since 9 is equal to 9, you cannot form a triangle and you stop there.